Hey everyone, glad you're tuned in, because what's going down in Dalton, Illinois, it's pure real-life political theater. Power, betrayal, collapse, and now, a comeback nobody saw coming. This story's not just wild. It's layered, emotional, and straight out of a Netflix script. So grab your seat, because this one's got all... Let's rewind to May 2021, when history was made. A small, predominantly black town elected Tiffany Henyard as its first young black woman mayor. She came in loud, proud, and promising change, talking empowerment, transparency, transformation, the whole be the change movement. And at first, people believed her. The village rallied behind her. They wanted her to win. But fast forward a few short years, and that belief turned to disappointment fast. Instead of headlines about progress, Henyard became the headline, not for change, but for chaos. Accusations started flying left and right. People saying she was spending public money like it was her own personal Amazon wish list. Hair bundles, luxury candles, designer slides, even fancy cookware. While locals were struggling to pay bills. And the craziest part? Anyone who dared to question her, she attacked them. Publicly, right in town meetings. Shouting down critics, most of them black residents, saying, "Y'all should be ashamed. Y'all black and attacking a black woman that empowered." But that deflection didn't cool the heat. It made it worse. Because the people weren't hating. They were hurting. The pressure grew. The investigations began. And after months of tension, Dalton finally snapped. Jason House stepped in. The moment he took that oath, it felt different. City Hall was packed. The energy was electric. When he swore to lead with honesty and integrity, the room erupted. One resident said, "We just witnessed history in our little town." And they were right. Dalton had finally hit reset. Under Jason House, the mission is clear. Rebuild trust, clean house, and fix what was broken. And judging by how people showed up, they're ready. Because this wasn't just about one mayor. It was about reclaiming the town's future. Dalton's story became a national example of what happens when regular people say, "Enough." And Tiffany, she's pivoted to Facebook, posting selfies, quotes, and motivational captions like nothing ever happened. But the truth? She's out of office. No title, no salary, no team, no power. Just the echo of what used to be. And word on the street is, despite earning over $347,000 a year, she didn't save a dime. Because here's the real lesson. When you chase power for the wrong reasons, it never lasts. And when it's gone, if you didn't lead with integrity, you've got nothing left. No loyalty, no legacy, just silence and regret. But this story isn't just Tiffany's fall, it's Dalton's rise. It's a lesson in accountability. In what happens when leadership collapses, and the people refuse to stay quiet. While Tiffany chased cameras, others were quietly building something real. People like Edward, Steve, and Jason House. The ones who showed up for service, not spotlight. And get this, Jason didn't even want to be mayor at first. He had the chance 4 years ago and walked away. Because he didn't need a title to serve. He didn't need a headline to help. He was already putting in the work. No cameras, no applause, no ego. While some perfected their image, Jason was perfecting the community. Showing up, listening, earning trust one quiet action at a time. And when the chaos finally exploded, when the scandals were too big to ignore, he stood up and said, "Enough," and the people followed. Dalton doesn't just owe him applause, they owe him gratitude. Because real leadership doesn't walk in wearing designer heels and holding a press team. It walks in with work boots, ready to clean up the mess. That's what change looks like. Of course, you'll still hear excuses. They just didn't want a black woman to win. That line's tired, and it misses a point. Because this was never about race or gender. It was about responsibility. Yes, being a black woman breaking barriers matters. But identity isn't immunity. It's inspiration. Your identity might open the door, but your integrity keeps you in the room. And that's what this whole saga proves. Titles fade. Fame dies. But character? That's forever. Dalton just reminded the whole country. What happens when people stop settling for less and finally demand more? Because the people who voted for you, they still need results. Every single day. In towns like Dalton, Montgomery, Jackson, Atlanta, places built on black pride and legacy. Being black isn't a burden. It's a badge. These communities want to see us rise, to lead, to prove that power can look like us. But once we get in those seats, it's on us to deliver, not just perform that I'm from Sacramento. And if you're not in LA or Oakland, climbing that ladder takes twice the grind. That's why so many of us look toward places like Detroit, Atlanta, and New Orleans, where black excellence isn't theory, it's legacy. But here's the catch. The dream only works if the leaders do the work. If the heart behind the speech matches the hands behind the action, too many step into office chasing clout instead of community. They start craving influence, not impact, forgetting why they even ran. And every time that happens, it's the neighborhoods that suffer. Schools crumble, streets decay, hope fades. Because when leaders fail, it's the people who paid. We've got to raise the standard. Leadership is not a hustle. It's a calling. When someone hands you power, you don't flex it, you honor it. You use it to serve, not to stunt. Because if we don't, we'll keep watching the same sad cycle. Leaders rise fast, fall faster, while the same communities get left behind every single time. This isn't just about Tiffany Henyard. It's about what consistent, real, it can change everything. That kind of leadership doesn't just make headlines. It builds history, a legacy that outlives you, a name that means something long after the cameras fade. But the second you start believing you're above the people, that's when all begins to collapse. The money dries up, the followers disappear, the stage goes silent. And when the lights go out, all that's left is truth, and the truth always cashes in. And speaking of collapse, let's talk Kamal Woods. Yeah, that Kamal. The married man allegedly caught up in Tiffany's fairy tale when everything looked like luxury. Back when the checks were rolling, the trips were first class, and the headlines painted her like royalty. But now that the spotlight's dimmed and the perks are gone, Kamal's goes to let's be real. You think he's sticking around for dollar store dinners and silent car rides? Not a chance. That man's already halfway out the door with his sneakers laced tight. Because the truth is, he was never there for her. He was there for the lifestyle, the benefits, the access. And when the ride ended, so did he? Now Tiffany's not just out of office. She's out of luck, out of allies, out of time. And that's what happens when you treat public service like a side hustle instead of a sacred duty. Because power borrowed without purpose always comes due.